Evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unheralded Heroes. Today, I have one of my key partners in boxing and the sports world come on today to discuss not just about sports and a actual was it white collar fight she had the other day, but her chances,
Yeah.
stars of growing up as a hijabi, as a woman of faith, and some of her actual activism efforts that she combines with her sporting endeavors. And she's a very unique background, very interesting character. So I had to get her on. I had to get her on. So, Aiysha, could you tell everyone a bit about yourself and what made you embark on a journey that you've partaken over the last, what, 6, 7 years?
What in terms of boxing, yeah?
No, no, yeah, just from the beginning,
In
boxing,
the
your
beginning,
faith,
okay.
yeah, family. Mm.
Wow, okay. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on. It's really nice to be asked to come onto your show, so thank you. So yeah, my faith has grown over, I guess, a few years. When I was younger, I wasn't really into it as much. Got more into it, I guess, in my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, after university. And just sort of had this dilemma of, am I Muslim? Am I doing everything that a Muslim should be doing? You know, when you grow up in a family which is kind of more a lot into culture rather than the religion, because there's parts of a culture that can, go along with the religion. There's parts that can conflict. And then sometimes in some cultures, they just kind of pick and choose what they think is okay and what's not okay.
Mm.
So, for example,
Everyone struggles with that when they're young.
yeah, I guess everybody does do that, but in a lot of like Pakistani background families, um, a lot that, I've grown up with as well in terms of my extended family, there's like hard no's, like you absolutely do not do things like drinking, eating pork, drinking alcohol, eating pork, going clubbing, that kind of things. You just don't do that. But if you don't really want to wear a headscarf, then people don't see it as a big deal. If you don't pray on time 5 times a day, people don't see it as a big deal. And those things are compulsory in Islam. It's compulsory for women to cover their hair and to dress modestly. It's compulsory for us to pray 5 times a day on time. And so I had this conflict growing up as to like, why is some things okay, some things aren't okay? It just didn't really sit well with me. So I wanted to be on one side or the other. Either I'm Muslim, I decide to be that, and I want to look like a Muslim and act like a Muslim and actually feel like I am as well. Or you come out of it and you just say, okay, I'm not, and I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Um,
I couldn't
thank
imagine you
God.
being like that though.
What's
You,
that?
you always seem austere and conservative. I couldn't imagine you being not.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was younger, there was times when I wasn't praying at all, and it's um yeah, it's weird to think that I used to be like that now because I will not miss my prayers now. Thank God, thank God. Like, everybody goes through their own journey. There'll be ups and downs. Sometimes you might pray late, sometimes you might, not do everything like, that you might be advised to do. Maybe you do just the bare minimum, for example. But everybody goes up and down in their faith, and it's normal for that to happen. And everybody's on their own journey. So I wouldn't be judgmental towards somebody that said, "Oh, yeah, I don't pray on time," or "I do miss some prayers," because everybody's on a journey and they need to find their own way. But, Islam's very clear cut on what is compulsory and what's not. And yeah, thank God that I am praying now, and it does feel strange that I was at a time that I never used to pray, and um, there's always more to learn, and there's always more to grow in a faith, and people of faith who are watching this will know that even though you learn about it, you realize how much you don't know, and then there's so much more to learn. But yeah, I love my faith, and I'm really happy to be Muslim, to wear a headscarf, to pray regularly, and to have that kind of guidance in my life. Um, yeah, boxing side of things, I've been boxing for about 6 years now. Before that, I was doing Muay Thai. And I moved over to boxing just because a boxing gym opened near my workplace, and I ended up going there. That was actually in London Bridge. So yeah, it was right near Borough Market actually, which are closed down now, unfortunately. But they were a really good gym. It was called the Secret Boxing Gym. It was run by Richard the Secret Williams, who was actually a world champion back in his day as well.
Fun
And
enough, was
yeah,
that in Minerva Walk?
pardon?
Was that near
Yeah,
Minerva Walk?
Minerva, exactly,
Behind,
exactly.
because I used to work in Cinnovate, a market research company down there for years. Between
Oh, did
first
you? I used to work there.
2000,
I used to work in Minerva House. So literally
is
right
it?
next door was the Secret Boxing Gym. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the same.
yeah.
When was it Minerva House then? When was he there?
2018 to 2019.
Oh, see, I was there 2010 to 2012. Yeah,
Okay.
way
So
before.
yeah, I came later, yeah. But yeah, that's what got me into the boxing side of things. And then yeah, after that I went to obviously Brixton, a Fiwi gym, which is where I am now with Bobby Mills, and yeah, been there for the last 4 years or so. And that's been my boxing journey. And then in terms of media, started that in around 2.5 years ago, December 2023. It was my like
I came
the
across.
first kind of yeah major event I went to, Day of Reckoning in Saudi Arabia. What a way to start doing, your media journey
I know superstar
at
star.
Riyadh
Hey,
season.
you never had to muck it with the rest of us. You go
Yeah.
straight to the top. Yeah.
It was just amazing to start there, to meet so many people. But to be honest with you, it's not like I've had to pay my own way because I don't have sponsorships. No one's ever paid for my flights, accommodation, or train tickets or anything like that. So thankfully, I have a good job behind me that I can actually save a bit and pay for these flights and things. But I definitely need to get some sponsorship because otherwise it's not sustainable, to
Yeah,
carry
yeah,
on like
of
this.
course. Remember,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll help you with that. That's why I wanted us all to come together in the group. But
Yeah, that would be
when we
amazing.
fall short with those kind of things, we can eventually get that. Because to be fair, one of my cousins he sponsored a paddle tennis thing the other day.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, for Joe Royal and Dart Rum Punch. So I mean, if he can do it, I'm sure we can.
Yeah, definitely.
You met him,
So hopefully I
yeah.
can find someone.
Mm,
Yeah, I need to put a bit more effort into it because like it's just difficult juggling everything. I'm working full time,
cool.
I'm supporting the family restaurant, doing my other activities outside of work, like doing the boxing stuff. There's lots of stuff going on. So yeah, it's difficult to find the time to invest in getting the sponsorship, but I really need to do that. Otherwise I just won't be able to continue doing
I
this.
think
But
I think you'll be able to attract it to be fair, because the high profile fights, because that's I was showing someone the other day, said, listen, this lady's a force of nature. On to how much ties to so I've never been Riyadh season in my life. And I
Mhm.
boxed on and off since I was a teenager. This lady's come into it 3 years and she's like a dyed-in-all correspondent. Said, look, she's even a branded microphone. Yeah, seriously, said you
Yeah.
can't. I said she's a natural, obviously, because said I haven't got much experience, but the way I've seen her interviews, the pacing of it, even when she does the scrums, I said you can see that she's always composed. She's always got serious clarity. Yeah, that's you. I've seen
Oh,
people do it for years and don't have that kind of style
thank
and
you.
smoothness when it comes to interviewing
Thank
people.
you so much. I appreciate that, man. Like, yeah, it's something that I just kind of tried and to do and just got into it. But I guess also having had the experience at work, because a lot of people that come into media, they're very young, they'll be like in their early 20s. They
Mm,
might not have had a lot of work experience in terms of just the work environment.
mm,
I've gone through my university career, my university studies, obviously. I've done postgrad degrees, in my field. Then I've done like 20 years of work. So you pick up so many other skills. You pick up things like presenting, leadership, compassion, just for your peers and the people that you're working with, and yeah, assertiveness. There's all these other skills that you pick up that you can use in this kind of boxing media life as well. So I think those things have really helped me to move further quicker, I guess.
yeah, well, it has. Look, I've done a journalism degree, and I'm nowhere near as eloquent as composed in you on camera. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a serious thing. Even when I saw what is it? I asked Eddie, was it recently where you asked Eddie Hearn about why has he picked the opponent, Joshua's latest opponent,
Yeah,
basis? Yeah,
yeah.
I would have been like, uh, Hearn, yeah, the way he's like he's supposed to be there. There's no it seemed to be nerves at all to me.
Yeah, thankfully. I think it's the presenting skills that I've had to do over like my, work and stuff like that that's kind of made me a bit more confident with just speaking out to people at different levels. So my background is being a clinical pharmacist. I used to work in hospital, used to do like consultant ward rounds with them. So I had to, communicate with people right at the top with the consultant levels, and then obviously my peers and people in the pharmacy department. So you kind of learn to be able to tailor your communication to the people that you're speaking to, and the language changes as well, how you might word something. Um, yeah, so I guess that's kind of where it all comes from.
Yeah, no, terrific, terrific. So, in terms of going forward, what do you see in terms of your vision for Green Diamond Boxing?
I've got lots of things that I want to do that are in the pipeline, which I won't mention right now, but you will hopefully see it in the next few weeks to months to come. There will be some things that I'll be releasing, hopefully. In terms of, I guess, just a company moving forward, I would like to remain independent. I would like to continue my, journey as Green Diamond Boxing. I'm not really looking to work with any of the major kind of like channels and things like that. Um, I don't really feel like I'm suited to that, if I'm honest.
Mm.
Um, so
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
to be fair. Like I said, you
Pardon?
corporate, you worked as a with consultants in hospitals and that. So you're like Floyd Mayweather. You see, finish show. Adapt high guard, low guard, finish show. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so I don't know, I guess like it is the aspiration for a lot of like media people, especially independents, to kind of work with the Zone or like one of the bigger channels, and I think that's great if you're younger. But I think for where I'm at right now, I don't want to be dictated to.
Mm,
Like, oh, you must go and do this interview, or you must do it for this long, or these are the questions you must ask, and you cannot ask these questions. I don't want that sort of restriction on me. As you've seen in my interviews, I don't just talk about boxing.
yeah,
I talk
cool.
about, I talk about faith a lot of the time, which not everybody likes to talk about. Some people actually get a bit offended
Ended,
by
yeah.
that. Politics, many people don't like talking about it. I will pick specifically the people that I talk to about politics because I've heard them speak about it before, or, I've seen something on their Instagram that makes me think, okay, they're all right to talk about it. But again, you can't talk about that to everyone. So I wouldn't want, yeah, any type of restriction on me as to what I can ask and what I can't. So that's why I'd have to really remain independent, I guess. Just keep going with my channel.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the only way because that they want to
Yeah.
do to you when you do that. You've seen I've
Yeah.
I've had it even with the equal start stuff where they said, oh, you're talking about domestic abuse, it's divisive.
Mm,
You mentioned things like misandry. There's no such thing. I said, of course there is. You get
mm,
men that don't like women, you get women that don't like men because of trauma,
mm,
maybe bad experiences in the interpersonal relationships. So,
mm,
I'm well with you on that. That can be a hindrance, but obviously for the moral standing and the principles of justice and equity and freedom for all, I don't see how that, especially when we live in these kind of countries with the democracies and things like that. That's what we're supposed to stand for: free speech. There.
exactly.
So I think that's a proper stance that you've taken. That is, and
Mm,
that's the principles of what we built today's society. But because
yeah.
of this latest thing with the narrative and the rise, obviously, of the right wing again, this all of a sudden these things are anti anti
Hmm.
establishment and anti-democracy, which I
Yeah.
find very odious, to be fair. And I do admire you for
Mm,
your stance on that. We need more independence. That's the only way you can have true freedom of free, because that's one of the things here. Free press. That's what they used to tell us.
yeah.
Free
Hmm.
press, freedom of speech. And now it seems to be encroached on year by year by year.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly that.
So how comes you always wanted to speak out on these issues? What is it? What is the drive? Is it because your compassion, your empathy, or just your faith?
Mm, I think mainly it's my faith, but also I guess it's people's personality partly as well. It's like some people will be like, oh my gosh, I know this is really wrong, but I feel too worried to speak out about it. And a lot of people have that kind of sentiment. Um, but I feel like in my faith, it says that if you see something wrong, you should speak out about it and you should do something about it. Um, and you should stand up against any injustice that you see. So that's what I try to practice. And yes, it can be worrying in terms of, will it affect me in my work? Will it affect me with my job opportunities? A lot of people have that kind of
Repair.
thinking as well. Um, but from my perspective and from the Islamic perspective, everything is given to you by God.
Mhm.
So if something's going to be taken away, it's
You can't
fine
become God.
because
Yeah,
that's what God has decreed for you. Do you know what I mean? He gives and he takes.
whichever way.
So, if he's given me my job, then he can take that job away. But the duty that I have is to stand up for what's right. And I need to continue doing that regardless of what the consequences might be in this world. Because at the end of the day, as Muslims, we believe that this is not our final abode. The final abode is the next life. And this is just a test. We're just travelers passing through. And so everything that we do is going to dictate where we end up in the next life. And if we want to be in heaven in the next life, then we better do what's right in this life.
Mm,
So stand up for what's right, fight against any injustices, um, be good to people, be considerate to people, be honest, be trustworthy. When people see a Muslim, they should know that they can trust you. And it's upsetting that that's not the case. Like, there's a lot of Muslims, a lot of people of faith, and you can't assume that they're trustworthy just because they wear a headscarf or
religion
they look
fairly,
like a.
of course.
Yeah, you can't assume that they're trustworthy. And that's sad because the teachings that we follow should be that we should be trustworthy and honest and, all of those good characteristics. But at the end of the day, we're humans as well. So we're going to make mistakes, we're going to do things wrong. Um, and it's just about keep trying every single day. Every day is a new opportunity to be better than we were the day before. So we've got to keep trying. And that's all God wants from us is that we keep trying. So He doesn't want us to be perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is to just keep trying and be the best version of yourself.
Mm,
So, that's what I guess I try to do.
I agree. I think it's a good thing as well because humility and being humbled is a way to regulate us because obviously, as you know, flesh, ego, pride. So I think if we
Mhm.
didn't have, the mistakes, the bad situation that humble us and make us reflect, we would be out of, well, most of us. I can't say all of us, but I think most of us would be out of hand.
Mm,
But then we would never be checked for our misdeeds. And that's a very great way to humble someone. Said, "Oh, if the misdeeds, look, remember, you're trying to judge and persecute others, and you look far enough back in your past or reflect on your life, and you may have done this yourself."
mm. Yeah.
So it's for instance, like today, what I was telling you earlier before we started to roll the cameras, they were saying about the rise of the far right.
Mm,
Sean, you had someone on the other day that had a St. George's Cross. I said, yeah, to be fair, he said he was 6, 7 years ago, we used to clash. We used to fight like cat and dog, well, not literally, but online. About I said
yeah.
Black Lives Matter, the George Floyd thing's an American thing, and we're trying to bring America
Mm,
up here, and that there's the racism is dead. And I said, huh? Don't be silly. They said all it takes is the right political circumstances, the right economic ones, a bit
mm,
of level strife, a flashpoint incident. I said it's all under the surface. It's human beings. You never drive it away. They said you get that in every creed, every nationality. There's some
mm,
kind of prejudice.
yeah.
Yes. So I said, come on, be really saying. Only now, 6, 7 years on, after what you've seen's gone on, he said, yeah, you know what, Sean, he was right. But the only reason why I admit to that because I also admitted that. I said, look, it's true. Some of the things that my community indulge in is not good. And obviously,
Mm,
the 2010 Equalities Act, it made me a protected characteristic. LGBTQT people
yeah.
from faith and that, which I said was right because it obviously is supposed to prevent persecution of those minorities over here because
Yeah.
there's a dysfunction. But I said, I agree with you. Now it's gone very far to the left where people
Hmm.
now think, oh, look, I can't say anything because then I'll be labeled as a racist. And that kind of
Mm,
stench next to molestation is almost like making you a social pariah where you can't get certain jobs. You could be cancelled if you've got anything to do in the media. So that's why they're resentful. And so that resentment builds, and then that either implode or they explode in
mm,
civil action. And said this is the problem. But I said it's only because I admitted these things that he eventually regulated. Said, you know what? That's different, Sean. You're not trying to tell me like, oh, I'm a racist, I'm no good in that. You're actually trying to listen to me and take on board what I'm saying, and you have shown you
Yeah.
the proof, and you said, yeah, I agree with that, and that's
Hmm.
wrong. And just from that, bridges were built instead of
Nice.
mm,
Yeah. That's
so,
true, isn't it? It's just about trying to understand each other.
mm,
And yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So that's really good.
yeah, we definitely need more of that because, like, even they said, look, like you have him on there, but then you have not introduced you to Sally ever, Sally
I don't
Amber.
think so.
The Welsh lady
No,
that's been on, that's a hijabi like you. She's what?
no.
I said, how do you do that? She's from Wales and she's Muslim. I said, yeah, because obviously she identified with the faith and the values, systems of peace. So I said, yeah, I know that's what I like. These kind of things is how I'm
Yeah.
you should have chance to look. I talked to someone that, potentially, to be fair, he used to be a man that used to roll around with Tommy Robinson. So now I've got a Welsh
Really?
lady from the valleys. Yeah, but
Hmm.
he says he sent a left. So
Okay.
no, only because obviously our relationship, and I've shown him things that he wasn't open
Mhm.
to before. And he said, oh, you got proof of it? I said, yeah, I got proof. And then they said, I've got a Caucasian lady from the valleys that's Welsh.
Yeah.
She didn't grow up Islamic, and now
Yeah.
she's a serious devoted one doing great work.
Hmm.
Types of people, regardless of where they're from. So I said,
Yeah.
these are the kind of people I interact with. So that's why I said I had to get you on to show the other side of it as well. Because
Yeah.
my
Absolutely.
a lot of the people that I talked to on the right side said, look, see, he said, read,
Hmm.
listen to that. That's the idealism of Islam, you see. They're
Yeah.
not gun-toting terrorists. They're not things like that. Or you see on TV, this is propaganda
Hmm.
set up by corporations to cause friction because they can
Yeah.
monetize it and the rage baiting online. They can say, "Oh, look, you got to be frightened to go outside. Be careful when you're on the train.
Mm.
We got. This is how this is supposed to be. Instead of hiding and being fearful of one another, and then the fear turns into hate."
Yeah, you're right.
Mm. So I'm glad you come in and actually expose those values. I was saying that moving on, you see how you said you've always fighting for injustice. You're gonna tell people
Hmm.
about your literal one that I put a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so I did my first white collar fight on the 7th of June. Um, and it's really weird because even my coach, Bobby, he's like, Ashley, you've always told me that you don't want to fight. Like, I've been training with him for the last 4 years. And the first thing I said to him was, I don't want to fight. I just want this for fitness, and self-defense. And then literally 4 years later, I'm thinking, okay, I want to fight. And the only reason I guess was because this advert came up about a women's only training camp in
Okay.
Rivals Gym in King's Cross. So my training was actually split between the Afiwi Gym, which is where I normally train with Bobby Mills, and Rivals Gym in King's Cross. So the actual white collar fight took place at King's Cross in Rivals Gym. And there was a couple of ladies there who were leading it. I think one who wasn't and one who's currently pro, Amy Andrews. So they were leading the white collar fight, and there was about 20 women who had signed up to it. Not everybody got to the fight night. I think some people dropped out beforehand. But yeah, we still had quite a few fights on the actual day, so that was good. So yeah, it was three rounds of 2 minutes each. And unfortunately, I didn't win the fight, but obviously trained for 8 weeks beforehand, pushed myself as much as I could really throughout that. And yeah, just learnt a lot, but yeah, didn't get the win at the end, unfortunately.
To be fair, you look fresh to me. You wasn't even breathing. For that 5 kilometer runs and the European trainings obviously made you fresh as a daisy. You was back to work in a couple of days as well, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't really
It was fine because it wasn't like that much. It wasn't, yeah, it was fine. The actual fight was okay. I was so gutted that I lost Sean. I was so upset. Literally, I went home and I just cried for like the whole night. I was so
like
upset.
you compose yourself.
It
I've
took
never
me a long
realized it
time to
bothered you
get
that
over
much.
it.
Yeah.
What's that?
I could tell you was disappointed end of the day, but I never thought
Yeah.
you it would bothered you that much internally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it did. It bothered me a lot. It's taken me quite some time to get over it. And yeah, I guess, do you know what? Everything happens for a reason, and it is good that I understand a bit more about what it's like for fighters when they lose because you put so much into it. You're training for like I trained for 8 weeks. Some of the fighters, obviously the pros, they'll train for maybe even longer than that. That you're pushing your body to the max. I was training 5 to 6 days a week, and obviously my body's not used to that yet. I was only doing
Five to
one day a
6 days,
week.
you told me that.
Yeah. 5 to 6 days a week, I was doing some sort of exercise now, whether that's running, going to a sparring class, going to my PT boxing class. It was like a mixture of things, but it was like 5 days for the first few weeks, and then towards the end, I was doing like 6 days. Um, and it was excruciating is really the best way I can put it. Your diet changes, you're having different kind of vitamins and stuff. So yeah, you put your body through it and then you go into the fight and you don't get the win and it is so disheartening. Um, and I guess I'm glad that I know a bit more about what it feels like. So when I am in that environment interviewing fighters who've just lost a fight, I can have a bit more
Well,
empathy towards them, um, kind of support them through that a bit better, I guess, than maybe I would have been able to do if I hadn't had that experience. So, it's good to have that experience too.
so how did you split your time? If you was training to because one's in King's Cross, North London, and one's in South London. So
Yeah,
how did
yeah,
that? So did you pick which day where you're going to travel to? Because that's
yeah. So, yeah,
really
my days were different. Monday morning, I would go to my boxing PT at a Fiwi gym. I think Tuesdays might have been either a rest, no, it was a running day, so I'd just get up in the morning and do my run. Wednesday, I'd go and then go to sparring at the King's Cross. And
okay.
then Thursday, I'd have like sparring at the Fiwi. Then Friday, I might do a rest day. Then Saturday, I've got sparring again at King's Cross. Then Sunday is my recovery day.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yes, you might as well turn pro if you're doing all that. My word, that's like full time
I
more.
was working out so much, Sean,
Then
I
your
didn't
family
even know.
commitments,
Honestly, I don't know if I was
obviously
coming or going. I
driven.
was so shattered. I was so tired. Yeah, towards the middle of the training, I went to a sparring session at a Fiwi and I was so exhausted that I couldn't punch back in the spar. And I just ended up crying in the middle of the spar because I'm getting punched in the face and I
Yeah,
couldn't punch back. And I just felt so shattered, like my body was exhausted. I was just like crying in the middle of the spar. I couldn't even carry on.
yeah.
So my coach was like, Asha, just you need to take a day or two off because you're probably like overtraining now. So
Yeah, you
just
are. Jesus. 6 days a week. That's like pro fighter.
so yeah, it was yeah, I
Then you got
tried
to
my
give
best.
yourself
I
the best chance to
yeah.
win. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I was trying to push myself as much as I could to try and get the win. Obviously I do know what I'd done wrong, but it wasn't like one-sided. It
No, it
wasn't
wasn't.
like
It
one
wasn't. Remember,
person was
I remember you
dominating the
told me a
other.
couple of the highlights in that. The first round, you was dictating the pace of your jab. But it's like, remember,
Yeah.
you said you didn't want to. It's like you didn't want to throw your power hand. You lead
Yeah.
the backhand.
Yeah,
So
so like Bobby was in the audience and he had to say to me, Asha, use both hands. So,
yeah,
like sometimes you just need that reminder. Oh yeah,
yeah,
you've got your backhand
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Cool.
But yeah.
But I think subconsciously you was worried about hurting your opponent. That's why I think so.
Well, I think, do you know what? That was my first fight, right? Even before that fight, I'd probably, the sparring only I'd done throughout the training camp. Before training camp started, I probably only sparred like 3 times or
Mm,
4 times before training camp started. So I wasn't really experienced with sparring either.
mm,
Um, and I'm not, obviously when you're sparring, you're not giving 100%.
mm,
You're toning it down because you don't want to hurt your opponent. This is just sparring, right? So I didn't have that experience really of hitting somebody as hard as I could. You
mm.
do that with the pads, yeah, absolutely. But when you have an opponent in front of you, it's so different.
See, that's
And
the compassionate side. You see, that's your
it's just not
empathy.
in my nature to be
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go full out and, try and hurt you. That's just, yeah. So I really struggled with that.
Mm. See. Yeah, of course, I can understand that. When I was young, I used to be a bit like that. And then one day someone clocked me and I got embarrassed and then my temper flared. And then I said, from now on, I'm not going to do
Really?
that. I give someone, especially because what happened, I don't know how it's for the female fighters day to day, but male fighters is always some kind of ego and they're trying to find out where they are in the food chain. So people want to
Hmm.
try and make a rise, especially on freshies. Or if there's
Right.
any kind of, passivity, they'll try me over the top. So I had to learn the hard way. Mm,
Wow.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
If I ever white collar fight like you, I've got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you gonna do one? You should do one, man.
Remember, before I tore my ACL, I was I
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
was I was
was.
talking to Tyson Fury's cousin where I worked, and his mate
Oh,
Kaz. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, he's obviously weren't meant to be. He tore my ACL playing dad's football, and then
oh.
I said, "Boy, I doubt if I'll ever get back to the how I was before." But I'm
Mm.
trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like you to at least try it once. So.
Definitely. Yeah.
But to be fair, I've had a lot of real fights in real life. Doing security work.
Probably had enough, right?
Yeah, it was 14 years of security work on the doors.
Oh,
I was
wow.
street fights, fights at school. Yeah, so I've even Krav Maga, obviously in the gym, Krav Maga
Mm.
boxing. I've had like spars where it's
Lucky.
flared up. So even though I've never had a fight in front of like a big paying audience, I've had
Okay.
plenty of fights in my turn. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I've never had any fights. I've never been like that person that gets into any physical fights. Verbal fights, yeah, absolutely, but physical fights, no.
But thanks for coming on. And
That's
obviously, we must catch
okay.
up soon with our other
Yeah,
ventures. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure to be on the show. And yeah, well done with everything you do. I see your work, working hard, and yeah, carry on, man. You're making huge waves. So
thank
yeah, wish you all the best.
you. All right. And that's a wrap, people. Where there are people, there is power. Justice in our time.